I think. Did that work? Okay. Um. So anybody who's coming in, this is gonna be basically a quiet live. I turned. I'm gonna turn the mic off and I'm going to play some RPR practice. Well, CVR practice, but using the RPR simulator practice test from Platinum Steno to practice. So if you watch my last video, I used Case Catalyst. Today I am going to use Eclipse. It's a different software, it's a different CAT software program than using Case Catalyst. I've been using Case Catalyst for like, I think like 2 years, and now I am starting on Eclipse. And I'm starting to like Eclipse a little bit better because it does a lot of things that either I'm not used to with Case Catalyst or I don't know what it is, but I like Eclipse a little bit better. If you do come in the room and I don't see the screen, it's probably because I am dictating and putting it on mute. So if you have any questions, bring them in the chat below and I'll respond with my phone. That way I don't have to cross my voice with you guys hearing me with my mask. So I'm going to get started. Um, Hold on.
You are doing a great job, okay? All I'm trying to, please don't take my questions that may somewhat be detailed as an expect CEO. Attorney, Mr. Bo, everyone. This is going to be your 225 Q&A test for the RPR simulator. This will be 5 minutes long and it's strictly Q&A. So we have a defense attorney, Mr. Bonito, B as in boy, Onito. And then again, let me repeat that. Mr. Bonito, Bonito. So it's strictly Q&A. Ready? You are doing a great job, okay? All I'm trying to, please don't take my questions that may somewhat be detailed as an expectation that you'll have an answer either. Okay, I'll do the best that I can. I'm just trying to do my job, and I realize we're talking about something that happened 3 years ago, and I am taking it and going moment by moment. If you don't know, that is why I mentioned you let me know that you don't know. Now, with that in mind, as you were pulling to the right to avoid this lady, what do you know how close it was that the motorcycle got to your vehicle? If you don't know, you let me know you don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Okay, that is perfectly fine. And as the motorcycle was going around you, can I just say something or no? I'll just wait if you want me to. Yes, you can say anything you want. Let me just get a few questions out so I don't forget what I wanted to ask you. All right, okay, all right. You brought your vehicle to a complete stop veering to the right? Yes, I veered to the right. Okay, and with regard to the other lady who stopped her SUV, the other van, when you were pulling to the right or not seeing any turning signal on her vehicle and seeing her stop, did you know what she was going to do? Well, yes, I sort of knew. Okay, what we don't want you to do is to speculate what she was going to do. I want to know as she was coming to an abrupt stop. At that point, I didn't know what she was going to do. Okay, except that she stopped. All right, and at that point, of course, you're veering to the right still. Is that correct? Yes, that is right. All right, and then just kind of out of the blue that she turned left. Is that what happened? Yes, it was immediately after she stopped. And with regard to after she stopped, this motorcyclist went to the left of your vehicle and then she started to turn to the left. Is that the idea? Is that what happened? Well, no, not exactly. Okay, let's try to do it this way. Do you want me to explain? May I? Go ahead. Like I say, this all happened in a split second. She stopped her car, slightly turned it left to make a left-hand turn into something. And as she's doing that, this guy revs up his motorcycle and is passing me as she's doing this. Does that make sense? Let me do it this way, ma'am. Number one, the timing of all of this, you say, happens in split seconds or almost in nanoseconds. Is that right? Yes, that is right. Okay, so as she's stopping, you don't know what this motorcyclist is thinking, do you? Of course not, no. Okay, and you don't know what she's thinking, she being the driver of the other van? That is right, I do not. Okay, and all you know is for some reason this lady brought her car to an abrupt stop and you don't know what's going on. Is that right? Yes, that is right. And then what you know is this motorcyclist, you have a sense that you hear him and you see him coming around your vehicle. Is that right? Yes, that is right. I could hear his motorcycle. And at about the same time, you see the lady starting to turn left. Is that right? Yes, that is right. And then you see a collision. Yes, that's when the accident happened. And at the moment of the collision, would it be accurate to say that her vehicle was angled at a little bit? Yes, just a little. And did you see the actual impact that the motorcycle had into the van? Yes, I saw it happen. And at that moment that the motorcycle impacted the van, I'm getting a sense that the van had already started a little bit of a turn. Yes, she was turning at that point. The angle, if we went from the angle that the van was at the point the motorcycle hit it, would you say that the angle would be less than a 45-degree angle? Yes, I would say it was around a 45-degree angle. Okay, and now you're giving me your best estimate. Is that right? Yes, that is right. And when you say 45-degree angle, you mean the van. If it was due west, the van would have been there at a 45-degree angle. I'm sorry, at a 45-degree angle. Okay, all I am trying to do is this. A 45-degree angle would be something like I'm drawing right here. You follow what I am saying? A 90-degree angle would be a right angle. You follow what I am saying? Okay, so it might be more than a 45-degree angle. You think it was more than what I've drawn here? It would be more. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at math. That's okay. Do you think it was more than? But I don't really know how much more. Well, what I'll do is just so we know, this is going to be Exhibit 19. And did you see the motorcycle impact the van about like where I put that arrow? Okay, so you are saying that this is the motorcycle, the arrow? The arrow is yes. Okay, yes, but I am still, we're talking seconds. I understand, ma'am, or even nanoseconds, like you said earlier. I understand that this is happening and I'm trying to get out of his way. My car, by the way, is still in motion, though my foot is on the brake, and yeah. And that is when you pull off to the right? Yes, exactly. Okay, and as you saw the motorcycle impact the van, did you see the rider eject off the motorcycle? Yes. And what happened to his body? He kind of flew off his motorcycle. Also, parts of the motorcycle were flying in the air, and I don't know why they didn't hit my car. I came to a stop and I saw him laying in the middle of the street. Okay, and when you say you saw him laying in the middle of the street, was he in the westbound lane of where you saw him? He was in the middle of the street. Okay, this test does not have a word list. We don't have any proper name.
Okay, can y'all hear me? Hold on, let me turn off my other mic. Okay, So that was just a little practice and it was rough. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about um, the Eclipse software. So if you guys were in here in the beginning, I was explaining this is different from the software that I was using last time I went live. This is called Eclipse. The other software that I was using when I first did the first live of practicing was called Case Catalyst. These are two different softwares. Um, I just started using Eclipse. I've been hearing a lot about Eclipse. As you can see, the format is very different from the Case Catalyst format. In the beginning, I did not like Eclipse because it was different. I wasn't used to it, and I was used to Case Catalyst, and I felt like Case Catalyst was picking up my words better. But as time progressed and I got used to it because I'm using Eclipse for school, my school I graduated from, we use Case Catalyst. So this school uses Eclipse, and a lot of court reporters in California I notice are using Eclipse. That's just what I see. But I actually kind of enjoy this, and let me tell you why. So if you guys go back and look at um, my first video with Case Catalyst software, a lot of that stuff, um, remember when I showed you guys about the conflicts when I say the word two and like three types of twos pop up, the number two, which is in wording, TO and TOO. A lot of those, that's what we call conflicts. A lot of those in Case Catalyst, well, while I'm sitting here playing, all of those in Case Catalyst, you had to create yourself. You create your own conflicts yourself in Case Catalyst. When I received this Eclipse software, a lot of the conflicts was already in the software. So, and then you can add your conflicts too, but it was way more. So, as you can see here, it's like a bunch of different colors. I'm gonna go to the word okay. So in Case Catalyst, the light, the member T, you were the one who asked what the blue words meant. And then I explained to you you had to hit one, two, three verses, like whatever you wanted to select. Eclipse for me is better because even at the bottom right, at the way bottom right, you can see that the conflicts are at the bottom and you get to select one or two to choose which okay you want. It's already kind of pre-highlighted to what I usually typically use, but if I hit the two, it's just gonna be the same. It's not gonna change. Um, what was it? So let me see if I could find one that's all right. So here's the word do, right? At the bottom right there they have three different types of do. The correct word I'm going to use, which is number one, and then do, and then do. So you have your do like residue type, and then you have do like your payment is due. This was already in the software. I didn't have to add it. Now if I was using Case Catalyst and I would have dictated that, Case Catalyst yes would have put do, but it's very rare you go probably put dues are paid. Now, I'm not saying Case Catalyst isn't going to put the right word, but I'm not going to think about it. So my issue with Case Catalyst is if I don't see it and I'm not thinking about it, there's plenty of times when I did like testing and when I heard the word and me say the word, I matched the words and I never put together that that could probably be the wrong word. So I would leave it in there. DO is a very standard word that we use in everything. And I'm pretty sure Case Catalyst is smart enough to pick up DO or DUE. Um, but for me, I like the fact that the options are still there just in case you want to switch it up or select another thing. Now, this is relying on AI technology a little bit more than Case Catalyst from what I've seen. I don't know. But again, I am going to go to the NVRA convention in July. And when I go, I'm going to vlog a little bit and Eclipse will be there and Case Catalyst will be there. I want to say I thought other CAT softwares are there. It's not just Eclipse and Case Catalyst. They have ProCat, Audio Scribe. They have a couple of other programs that you can use with court reporting. So a lot of those companies are going to be there, and I'm going to see for myself like what they have to offer. But so far, I like Eclipse a little bit better, and it was crazy because when I first started it, I hated it because of the recognition. But I have two different profiles now. I have one profile for my Case Catalyst, and then I have another profile for my Eclipse. That's needed because the software receives it a little bit different. So when I say if the questioner is asking a question, and you're going to hear me talk because I'm not going to mute the mic just yet, so you're going to hear it through here. And also, I also realized no matter if I hit mute, you can still hear me through my second mic because this is a mic too. So if I say yes, I do, and I want the like answering an attorney's question, and I wanted to go back to the attorney, I use a voice code that says yakadoo, but I use that on Case Catalyst. On here, in order for it to interpret a little bit better for me in case in Eclipse, I say yak I do, and it's typed a little bit different. So in Catalyst software, it'll look like this, but in Eclipse, I have it as this. So I got two different things going on here. So once I figured that out and was able to add things to the dictionary, it's cool. So it's a lot of commands that you have to do and you set up in Case Catalyst. And if you don't set it up, it's not going to happen. You got to set it up in Eclipse too. Eclipse don't just automatically know, but I'm saying the back and forths and stuff, you only have to really do once. Versus Case Catalyst, you have to kind of keep telling it what to do from my experience. Now, if you're a Case Catalyst user and you got some tips, I'm all for them, or you have a different experience, let me know in the comments because I do know there's court reporters, working court reporters, students, and people who are considering court reporting school. Please comment that below. Even if it's not Case Catalyst or Eclipse, Audio Scribe, ProCat, whatever, put your experiences below. But I'm gonna give you an example. Yeah, I can do. Why that is not the right voice code? Hold on. I said yak. I do. Oh, see, with this one, I didn't delete that one either because I uploaded my Case Catalyst to. Hold on, let me upload my Dragon. So this right here, this little box, this is not Case Catalyst or Eclipse. This is Dragon. Dragon is the software connected to the CAT software to translate. So let me go to. I have to take all of these out because this is for my Case Catalyst. Yeah, I'm going to take all of these out. And see how these are yak I, yak it, yak I. It's a different formatting that I'm doing with that. So I deleted that out of my Dragon because I used this profile in the beginning for Case Catalyst, and then I created a new profile strictly for Eclipse. And you have to separate things because if you don't separate things or your file get corrupted or whatever the case may be, you're going to be asked out. So let me see if that works. Let me see if I even had. Hold on. Let's see if that. Also, I could see y'all in the comments too because I have my other page up just in case. Yeah. Okay, so let me try that again. Now that I delete all of those. Hold on. Yeah, today. All right, see that? Now it said the right voice code. When I tried to say yak I do, it popped up real easily. So I have to be careful of that too because there's a lot of voice codes that I use for Case Catalyst. They don't, for some reason, they don't translate the same way. So when I first dictated Yak I Do, Yak I Did popped up, and once I deleted that, it's clear now. I'm glad you enjoying it, Cheryl. I This test is coming up. We leaving after the 4th of July weekend. We're leaving. Bunny's getting her hair done right now. Dorian has a hair appointment Wednesday. Juju's is Thursday, and Donovan's is Friday, and then Neffy's is the weekend. So I'm getting all their hair done so we can get ready for this trip. And I can't say my nerves are bad, but I'm always gonna have the anxiety when testing comes. It's not really that bad. I mean, I done took the damn thing like what, 4 times, but I did pass my jury charge. So the difference is when I go testing, I don't have to take all 3 tests. I'm only taking two, which is literary and Q&A. Literary is tricky because it's the slowest speed on the test. On literary, you only have to pass at 180 words per minute, but the catch is the words are very like whew, trifling. No, the words are very complicated sometimes. Like you'll hear a word out of a something that you ain't even heard of. I'm gonna practice a little bit of literary dictation so y'all can kind of understand what I'm talking about with it. Let's see, and then I'm gonna take myself down so you guys won't hear me on the mic. Because when I heard the playback, I was like, that is annoying. Literary dictation. Let's do 180. I'll do 180.
Hello, everyone. This is going to be your 180 literary test for the RPR simulator. Okay, this will be 5 minutes long, and I will read this at 180. Ready? He'd been waiting for this day, and when his doctor handed him the mirror, Andy Sandness stared at his image and absorbed the enormity of the moment. He had a new face, one that had belonged to another man. His father and his brother, joined by doctors and nurses at Mayo Clinic, watched him examine his swollen features. He was just starting to heal from one of the rarest surgeries in the world, a face transplant, the first at the medical center. He had the nose, cheeks, mouth, lips, jaw, chin, even the teeth of his donor. Resting in his hospital bed, he still couldn't speak clearly, but he had something to say. Far exceeded my expectations, he scrawled in a notebook. You don't know how happy that makes us feel, Dr. Summer Martin replied as he read the message aloud, addressing the man who'd become his friend over the last decade. The exchange came near the end of an extraordinary medical journey that revolved around two outdoorsmen, both just 21 when they decided to kill themselves. Sandness survived, but with a face almost destroyed by a gunshot, the other man died. Their paths wouldn't converge for years, but when they did, in side by side operating rooms, one man's tragedy offered hope, the other would have a second chance at a normal life. 2 days before Christmas in 2006, a deeply depressed Andy Sandness put a rifle beneath his chin and pulled the trigger. Instantly, he knew he'd made a terrible mistake. When police arrived, he begged, please, please don't let me die. He was rushed from his home in eastern Wyoming, treated at 2 hospitals, then transferred to Mayo Clinic, where he met Dr. Mardini, a plastic surgeon whose specialty is facial reconstruction. Sandness had no nose or jaw. His mouth was shattered. Just 2 teeth remained. He'd lost some vision in his left eye. Mardini and his team reconstructed his upper and lower jaw with bone, muscle, and skin from the hip and a leg. They reconnected facial bones with titanium plates, and screws. After about 8 surgeries over 4.5 months, Sandness returned to tiny Newcastle, Wyoming, where friends and family embraced him. He worked at a lodge in the oil fields and as an electrician's apprentice. But his world has shrunk. When he went grocery shopping, he avoided eye contact with children so he wouldn't scare them. He had almost no social life. He retreated to the hills to hunt and fish. Sandness adapted. His mouth was too small for a spoon or a fork, so he tore food into bits and pieces. He wore a prosthetic nose, but it constantly fell off when he was outdoors or if he did any physical activities. You never fully accept it, he says. You eventually say, okay, is there something else we can do? The prospect of 15 more surgeries Mardini had mapped out scared him. For several years, Sandness made annual visits to the Mayo Clinic. Then in 2012, the plastic surgeon Mardini called. It looked like the Mayo Clinic was going to launch its first face transplant program. The doctor let him know that he thought he might be an ideal patient for this new surgery. Mardini urged him to think very hard about the transplant. Only about 2 dozen operations had been done worldwide in the past. He wanted Sandness to understand the risks and lifelong regimen of taking anti rejection drugs. After researching the surgery, Sandness had some concerns about the side effects of the drugs, but still undeterred and knew he wanted to go for it. When you look like I looked and you function like I functioned, every little bit of hope that you have, you just jump on it, he says. And this was the surgery that was going to take me back to normal. He knew he had to jump on this amazing opportunity. Sandness had to undergo a rigorous psychiatric and social work evaluation to address, among other things, should the surgery be done on someone who had attempted suicide in the past. There were several factors that weighed in his favor: his resilience and motivation, his strong family support, his long standing rapport with Dr. Mardini, and the length of time since the shooting took place. Then last June, 5 months after his name was added to the waiting list of the United Network for Organ Sharing, he got the word that a donor was available for him. Kalen, otherwise known as Rudy Ross, had fatally shot himself. His devastated 19-year-old widow, Lily, was 8 months pregnant. Despite her overwhelming grief, she carried out her husband's wishes to be an organ donor. She met with a coordinator from Life Source, a nonprofit group that helps families in the upper Midwest facilitate organ and tissue donation. Ross's heart, lungs, liver, and kidneys were donated. Additional screening determined he was a good match for a man awaiting a face transplant. In a second conversation, Life Source broached the idea. I was skeptical at first, Lily says. I didn't want to walk around and all of a sudden see Kaylin. She was reassured because the donor had his own eyes and forehead and wouldn't be recognizable as her husband. Mayo's medical team, which had rehearsed the surgery for 3.5 years with cadaver heads, gathered one June night to start the 56-hour marathon. It took about 24 hours to procure the donor's face, which
Hold on, let me turn off my mic. See, you all see what I'm talking about? As far as the words, cadaver, like who is using the word cadaver? Nobody. That's what I'm saying. It don't use words like you would normally use on a regular basis. Rigorous. Nobody says rigorous or use rigorous like that. So when I hear words like that, I repeat them sometimes and I be like, what the hell is that? So that's the difference between literary. You would think that literary dictation would be simple because it's 180 words per minute versus a faster pace like jury charge 200 or Q&A 225, but no, it trips you up because of the words that they use. There was another word in here that they said, and I was like, "What?" Nobody uses sinister on a day to day basis. Um, And these words just come out of nowhere. They can say all types of words, and you may not know what they mean or what they are, what they say, but those words trip you up. Um, I know with the steno writer, you got to do something on the fly real quick, and you have to remember it. And with the voice mask, you can, if you have like something in your hand. I mean, if you have the voice mask in your hand, you can write with your other hand, or you can get like a voice mask holder, and then with the voice mask holder, you can write like that. With the steno writer, you got to use your fingers all the time when you want that dictation to translate. So if there is a word like rigorous or rigmarole, they just say all these random words when you be like, what? Malarkey, whatever. They just be saying words that people don't say on a daily basis. If you don't know a keystroke of it, you can write it out on your steno writer and it may or may not translate. So with the steno writers, I'll be like, but even with voice writing, it's difficult to keep up with because you don't know if it's going to translate properly or not. But again, with this software, what I like, I um I got a copy of my test on where I went wrong at, and I had this issue in Case Catalyst where either I would repeat words somehow or the words would come in twice. It's probably me just repeating the word twice. Okay. Um, on Case Catalyst is not going to flag you saying the same word twice. Eclipse is. So that's what I was saying about like the benefits. It kind of double checks with stuff. Like hash shrunk is highlighted in blue because that's not even a proper way to say that, and that's why it's highlighted in blue and stuff like that. So I see the benefits of Eclipse versus Case Catalyst because a lot of things that'll slip through the cracks in Case Catalyst, I noticed that Eclipse picks right on up and say, why don't you take a look at this, or why don't you take a look at that, or highlight words, or whatever. So I'm starting to really really like Eclipse better than Case Catalyst. Maybe when I go to the convention, they'll show me something different that I'll be like, oh, okay, well then maybe whatever, whatever. But I heard Case Catalyst is more expensive than Eclipse. Eclipse will work with you. They got like payment programs. They got all types of the stuff. Case Catalyst, I don't know, but I only used it as student software, so I haven't even got there yet. But yeah, that's what I got going on. When I took the test last time, by the time I got to Q&A, I was like kind of burnt out a little bit because lit you're dictating for 5 minutes and then you take like a few seconds and then they go to the next test. Jury charge was easy for me because jury charge is a simple flow. And again, if you haven't been in my other lives, what a jury charge is the judge giving the jury instructions, is the jury instructions. And a lot of times when you are the jury, the judge lets I'm impartial. We all impartial. We don't have the decision to decide who's wrong, who's right. Y'all are basically pretty much in a nutshell. And if I say something or answer a question or do objection, I mean, not objection, do sustain or overrule, it's not because I agree or disagree with the plaintiff or the defendant. It's because um, I'm ruling on the law because they have strict rules on what they got to go by. It's a whole process, but jury charge was easy for me because it's a simple flow. It's usually pretty much them saying the same thing. And so I knew I was going to kill jury charge. So now, when I was taking the test before, I would do literary, do jury charge. And by the time I was done with jury charge, I would be extremely exhausted. Yes, it's working. The membership is working. Okay. So it's a little bit different. It's not working in this one because this is not my anti hyena squad. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna change. my name on this one to probably like just anti or something. But yeah, so I think this time when I test it's going to be a little bit easier for me because when they do literary, um I will get 5 minutes of a break because I do not have to dictate the jury charge for 5 minutes because I already passed it. So when they give the test and they say start off at literary at 180, I'll dictate that. Then when jury charge comes, I'll prepare for my Q&A and I'll have 5 minutes to actually rest. So that'll give me my second win to be able to clear Q&A at 225. So my nerves is bad just because it's a test, but I think I'm gonna do pretty good. Literary though, I gotta clean it up because, like I said, even though it's slow, all these words and things that people don't use on a daily basis could trip you up. And they do have a word list that they give you with the list, like if there's proper names or whatever, you'll have that. But other than that, we gonna see. I'm going to dictate. Oh, you thought this was my other one? Oh no, girl, I ain't got no members. I ain't got no nothing. I gotta have at least 1,000 subscribers to access those kind of benefits on this page, and I think I got like a only 137 subscribers on here because um a lot of people. I don't know. I don't court reporting. A lot of people don't know about court reporting. Some people do, some people don't. But people are starting to spread the word out more now, and I'm hoping if people do come across my live, they may be interested in it. And it's not easy, but like I was telling somebody else, court reporting school is not easy, whether your voice or steno is not easy. Steno is even more difficult than voice, but voice is difficult too because if voice was easy, I would already have my certs. So do I do both? I'm still dictating on my steno writer every day to keep my fingers moving, even though I'm not enrolled in steno writing classes now. Those classes to resume on Theory 3 and Speed starting in the fall for me. But I took a step back to improve my voice writing technique so I can get my certifications. And I'm going to still be working as a court reporter. And even after I get my certifications for my CVR, I have to go back for my CSR, which is the California state test for court reporters. So it's not easy. I've spent about almost $2,000-3,000 on going to tests, traveling, paying for the test, and everything like that with court reporting school. And I know that's a lot, but it's an investment. But like I was saying, court reporting school is hard. Being a court reporter not easy. You know, you got to really put in the work and you got to really build the skill. But so is working 3 jobs to make ends meet. So is door dashing all day to make $500. You know, you have to really choose your heart when it comes to things like this. It does require a lot, but this is why we get paid the big bucks when we start working because it's a lot that comes with it. And for me, it may not be worth it to a lot of people, but for me, it's worth it to me. So you just kind of got to choose your heart and difficulty and stuff like that. But I want to be dual certified. That way, if I want to give my hands a rest, I can, or if I want to give my mouth a rest, I can. You say you like it even though you don't know nothing about it. It's very interesting. You know what's crazy too? I was dictating the Karen Reed trial and I noticed I was like, wait a minute, this is getting too good. Hold on, let me concentrate because you be so nosy on what's going on. And if you get up, you're like, she did what? Oh, let me finish dictating, So you got to really keep up. So if you hear some off the wall stuff, you still got to get that on there. You still got to get that on there. So, yeah, it's really good. It's really interesting. Let me see. I'm probably gonna let me do some Karen Reed trial action. Like, I want to know what the court reporter said. I mean, what the how the court reporter was looking in that P Diddy case with the baby oil and stuff. Imagine being a court reporter in a courtroom, listen to baby oil, people getting peed on and stuff. You gotta like you listening to this information, and you still got to get it down on paper, word for word. So whether you speaking it and it's coming out your mouth, or you writing it down on the steno writer, I know you like, oh my god, he did what with the baby oil? I fly on the wall. And even with the Woody trial, the court reporter there, she was doing pretty good, but it was just like the stuff that you hear. Let me see, Karen Reed trial. Karen Reed trial day. I think I was dictating day one. Oh yeah, see, I was already, as you can see, it's highlighted here. I was already dictating. So what we have right here, what he's doing right now, is his opening statements. Opening statements would be considered literary dictation because it's not the judge giving the jurors instructions. So this would be considered literary because they're explaining why they're going to basically win the case. I'm saying, and then you still got to get them words down. Like that's what I'm kind of like. There's a picture floating around where there's this court reporter. She's on her steno writer and she's dictating stuff. And then there's a lady that's doing a demonstration and she's doing these splits where she's like, she got her legs up in the air and her head down below. And the court reporter is just, you got to have a poker face. You can't laugh. You can't smile. You got to just keep it cute. You can't have no emotion in the courtroom when it comes to that. You just got to get the words down. So I was just like, I wonder what was going on in that woman's head. It's hilarious. But let me finish doing this little dictation and then I'm gonna go check on Bunny and see how her hair is coming along. Bunny wanted red and black hair. Neffy wanted rainbow hair. Bunny got done first because Neffy hair came quicker. I ordered their hair at the same time, but Neffy hair won't be here till Wednesday. So let me do this real quick.
Not investigate any of what I'm telling you. He pre-selected Karen Reed from the start, and he ignored everything and everyone else. Let's get back to what was happening with the others while Karen slept. What you'll learn during this trial is that Brian Albert's sister-in-law, you've heard her name before, Jennifer McCabe, she was at the waterfall that night, and she was over at the Alberts house that evening as well. She left the after-hours gathering about 2 a.m., a little before 2 a.m., got home around 2 a.m. And you'll learn that according to the Commonwealth's own evidence from a forensic software program called Physical Analyzer made by Celebrite, it's considered the gold standard for forensic tools. You'll learn that a Google search was discovered on Jennifer McCabe's phone. A Google search that Michael Proctor and his investigators never revealed to us, but we found anyway. A Google search that was time-stamped according to their own data at 2:27 a.m. 5 minutes after that 2:22 a.m. call that Higgins and Albert denied having. And that Google search on Jennifer McCabe's phone read, Hoslong to die in cold. Hoslong to die in cold. Now she misspelled the first word. Hos is supposed to be how, but the meaning's the same. How long does it take to die in the cold? Time-stamped, 2:27. And then that search was also noted by the same Celebrite program
Because you're going to dye your hair, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So check and see in the bathroom. I bought like two big bottles of developer because your hair look a little red and brownish and yellowish and purplish from the purple. And what color you gonna do it this time? Just bleach it? Okay. Well, just check and see. Look on this side of the closet in the bathroom and see if you see it. Okay. What y'all saying? I'm gonna send you. Cheryl, I subscribe to your YouTube channel. Oh, you talking to T? Okay. Yeah, my bad. I had to get my son in order to get figure out how they gonna do their hair, what they gonna do to their hair. Juju wants a different color. I think I might dye his hair back black or something. But yeah. So I was able to dictate what he was saying. Now, I will say this. He tripped me up. He tripped me up when he said house, right? And let's see. A Google search timestamp according to their own data at 2:27, 5 minutes after that, 2:22 a.m. Oh, see, that didn't even dictate right there either. Um, and the Google search on Jennifer McCain's phone read "How's long to doubt." Well, I don't know what I said with there, but house is put house instead of house. It's supposed to be. Oop! Look at me putting hoes. It's supposed to be house. But when he said it, I did say it because it says house. But when he said it, it confused me because I'm like, why'd he say it like that? So you really have to have kind of a blank mind because you're like, you don't even sound right. But then he confirms it by saying she spelled it wrong, misspelled the first word, how, and it said houses, even though it's supposed to say house. So those are the type of things like when you play back your audio or you listen to the tape, you'll notice that and you'll see that and you'll catch that later on because unless you're real time, a lot of times you got to edit the transcript and get it together. So yeah, that house shit threw me off, but I did say it, but it just translated as house because the software is trying to pick up like, are you trying to say house? Or are you trying to say house? Because you know people be having accents and all types of stuff. So that was a good little thing right there too because I was not expecting him to say that she said that and misspelled the word. So it's a lot of stuff that come with it, but it's fun. It's fun. I'm gonna do a little bit more and then I'm gonna get up off of here because that's again I have to check on Bunny Bun with her. She just getting individual braids. It's summertime. Ain't nobody doing no cutesy nothing. Y'all gonna get individual braids and they gonna wear them braids the whole summer because all they gonna be doing is going swimming, getting wet, doing all the playing and nope. So I told Neffy she gonna get individuals too. She was like, no, that's fine because she want to go to the water rides. She want to play in all types of stuff. So it's all good. Let me finish.
as having been deleted. The evidence will force you to ask, why is there a search on her phone? Why is it logged at 2:27 a.m.? When the Commonwealth claims that she first learned of John's death and where his body was hours later at 6 a.m. So what you'll learn is that while Karen slept, here's what was actually happening by some other very busy bees. 1:25 a.m., Brian Higgins makes an unexpected visit to Canton PD. 1:30 a.m., he makes a phone call that he later denies ever making. At 2:22 a.m., Brian Higgins and Brian Albert talk. They both deny and lie about having made that phone call. 2:27 a.m., 5 minutes later, a Google search appears on Jennifer McCabe's phone as making, and that she later, or at least it was later logged as deleted. Meanwhile, at 2:30 a.m., the plow driver confirms that O'Keefe's body was not on the lawn of Brian Albert's house, not at 2:30 in the morning. And at 3:30 in the morning, that area was obstructed by a Ford Edge. A Ford Edge like the one the Albert family liked to own. Fitful sleep for the rest of the night. It wasn't like John to not come home. Had morphed. It'd gone from frustration and anger, which you'll hear in the voicemails, to abject fear. Fear that something bad had happened. The evidence will establish by this time Karen was panic-stricken. She had a feeling something was very, very wrong. She was unable to get a hold of John. Karen went to go look for him. She got in her Lexus and she backed up to leave her garage at One Meadows. You'll hear a lot about that address, One Meadows. That was John's house where Karen was staying. She backed out of the garage, and during the course of the trial, you'll hear that she actually struck another car with that right rear taillight. During the course of this trial, the Commonwealth is going to desperately claim that Karen Reed's taillight was actually damaged by hitting John O'Keefe. They'll have no evidence of it, mind you, none, but they'll make the claim. We'll show you a video of exactly how that taillight was originally damaged, or exactly what happened at 5:07 in the morning. The facts will show that it was damaged in John's own driveway at 5:07 when Karen backed up and made contact with another car in the driveway. This is 5 hours after she dropped John off and he went into the Albert residence. As a result, the taillight was minimally cracked, but it wasn't completely shattered or damaged or broken. And that's the condition of the SUV when Michael Proctor got a hold of it. That becomes important. You'll hear from an independent police officer, an eyewitness to the damage on that SUV, someone not connected to Michael Proctor or under his control. And he'll tell you that he saw the taillight damaged before it was in Michael Proctor's possession, but it was not completely shattered. And you won't have to speculate how that taillight got cracked originally. You'll see it for yourself. It's on video. You'll learn that part of the reason that Karen's Lexus hit that car at One Meadows is because she backed out looking for him at a time when she was absolutely panic-stricken and grief-stricken. Where was John? Why hadn't he come home? What had happened to him? Is he hurt? Is he passed out somewhere? Her mind was reeling. The evidence will establish she wasn't giving anything away. Everything was on the table. What could have happened to John? You'll learn that when she woke up and he still wasn't home, she was just racking her brain for what could have happened to him. And she was worried about possibly the worst. He'd gotten out of the car. He'd walked to the house. She was confused. And later, when she found him at 6 a.m. on the lawn, where she last saw him going toward the house, her mind started reeling. Oh my God, did a plow hit him? Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? What could have happened to him? And that video clip that you saw, out of context, when she said the words, he did not look like he was mortally wounded, she's not talking about at midnight. She's talking about at 6 a.m. when she found him. That's what she was talking about. Your job will be to make sure that the evidence isn't presented to you too cute by half. She was saying all those things. Did a plow hit him? Could I have hit him? Did I hit him? She was saying that to herself and to other people. And the Commonwealth, very obviously, will try to seize on that panic and twist this into some admission. But here's the actual truth. That's not a confession. Could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Could a plow have hit him? That's a person trying to make sense of an unexplainable circumstance, a natural concern of a bereaved significant other, a woman desperately trying to piece together what could have happened on this tragic night. John didn't come home. And the evidence will show that Karen Reed never said, "I hit him." Never. Not in the background of the 911 recording, not on any dash cam video, not on any audio, not on any police body cam, not to a first responder. It's never mentioned in a single report. It's never reported in a single report from January 29th, not by one person, because it never happened. The evidence will show that there were at least 13 members of law enforcement or first responders and 2 civilian witnesses that were intently focused on what was happening at that scene. They were all over the lawn. They were all over Karen. Officer Sarath, Mullaney, Good, Lank, EMT Nuttall, Flamati, Kelly, Walsh, Woodbury, Whitley, Becker, Robery, McLaughlin, Carrie Roberts, Jennifer McCabe. They were all there, watching and listening. On January 29th, when John O'Keefe was found, not one first responder reported having heard Karen Reed say the words, "I hit him." Not one. Not one civilian reported having heard Karen Reed say, "I hit him." The facts will show that the first time this improved statement was ever claimed to have been made was some 24 hours later by a single EMT in an interview. Now listen to this. In an interview coordinated by a Canton police detective named Kevin Albert, Brian Albert's brother. And remember, Chris Albert, the other brother, is a board selectman to whom the Canton Police Department reports. And what's more, you'll learn that Katie McLaughlin, that's the EMT, that's the single EMT, the first person to have claimed to have heard this unrecorded and unreported statement, is years long close personal friends with a young woman named Caitlin Albert. You heard that right. It's Brian Albert's daughter. During the course of this trial, you'll become familiar with and you'll realize that the Alberts are indeed a powerful and indeed an influential family. And that will mean something. You'll learn that there are other major problems with the prosecution's case. The evidence will establish that Michael Proctor himself, the lead investigator and architect of this entire case, has a long-standing and personal relationship with the Albert family. Yes, that same Albert family. His sister was close friends with Julie Albert. He personally sat at head tables at weddings, or at a head table at weddings with the Albert family. He entrusted the Alberts with babysitting his own children. You heard that correctly. And yet he was the lead detective assigned to investigate the circumstances of a Boston police officer laying dead on the Alberts' front lawn. That's not just bias, you'll learn. That's not just coincidence. That, folks, is corruption. And you'll see how far it went. Michael Proctor was alone with all the critical evidence in this case, alone with Karen Reed's phone, alone with John's phone, alone with video footage, alone with the taillight material, alone when he claimed to recover evidence from 34 Fairview. He wrote the search warrants. He transported the evidence. He secured it. He submitted it. He did it all. That's Michael Proctor. And he did it without any reasonable oversight. You'll see during the trial that he intentionally lied and fabricated evidence during the course of this investigation. He lied in reports, warrants, he lied under oath. He lied about the time that he actually secured Karen Reed's vehicle. Why? Why would he lie about that? The evidence will give you the answer. He lied because he did not want it revealed that he had access to that vehicle and he had access to that taillight before any taillight fragments were found at 34 Fairview. Appreciate that. He had access to the vehicle before a single piece of taillight material was ever found at the scene. You'll find that there were 2 searches. The first and second search found 0, nothing. Nothing around John's body, nothing in the street, not one piece of taillight fragment. But once Michael Proctor had that SUV and had the taillight in his custody and control, suddenly items started magically showing up. And not just a few items, 46 pieces of bright red taillight taillight laying in the snow, supposedly found in the exact same spot that was searched not once, but twice by independent officers. It came up with 0. To be clear, you'll learn that before Michael Proctor had access to that taillight, not a single piece was ever recovered at 34 Fairview. That will become vitally, vitally important. And what about those shards of plastic, by the way? What about this DNA that the Commonwealth mentioned? They're going to try to dazzle you with talk of DNA because it sounds so scientific. DNA was on the taillight, but you'll learn that there was no DNA on the actual shards that they claim came in contact with John's arm. None. There was no blood, no tissue, no skin, no DNA on a single shard of plastic that they claim cut deep abrasions into John's arm, the arm that you saw overhead. The DNA that was actually found, the actual science will show it was found outside of the taillight housing where anyone with access to that vehicle would have touched. And it wasn't just one male's DNA. In that exact same sample, there were 3 men found, John and 2 unidentified males. So unless the Commonwealth is going to shift their theory that that SUV hit 3 men that night, their entire theory falls apart. The evidence will further establish that John O'Keefe's shoe, the one that he was wearing when he was found, was sampled. And that DNA revealed 5, count them, 5 unidentified males. Recall that the evidence will establish independently that John was injured someplace warmer and had to be moved onto that lawn. 5 unidentified males touching that shoe. You'll also learn that you are not the first person, not the first to hear about the Commonwealth's theory of this case, that John was hit by an SUV. That's their theory. The Commonwealth presented this exact same claim to their own medical examiner, a woman by the name of Dr. Irini Scorti-Bello. And you'll learn that after reviewing what's called a law enforcement accident notifier, with law enforcement's theory of the collision written in it, defined in it, after conducting the autopsy herself, after examining John's injuries in detail, she refused to conclude that John's death was a homicide based on the Commonwealth's presentation and their theory. That's right. The Commonwealth's own medical examiner will not deem the manner of death in this case, a homicide. She won't do it. But they're nonetheless back again trying to present the exact same theory to you in this trial. Again, the evidence will show that that is reasonable doubt. Throughout this trial, the Commonwealth will try to convince you of paranormal events, phones calling themselves, messages deleting themselves, Google searches made and then unmade, evidence magically appearing and evidence magically disappearing. But all that smoke and all those mirrors will not ever reach their burden, because that's what this case is ultimately about. It's about the Commonwealth's burden of proof. You'll learn that during the trial, the Commonwealth bears the highest burden known to our justice system. They must prove every element of every charge beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty. And you'll learn that moral certainty means the highest level of certainty known in human affairs. It's not a small thing. They're not going to be able to do that. Not when every piece of this case was handled by a disgraced investigator with a motive to protect his friends, not when the physical evidence contradicts their very theory, not when their own medical examiner won't call this case a homicide based on the exact theory that they're presenting to you, not when the conduct of those in the House and the utter lack of investigation speaks volumes about those who actually have something to hide. By the end of this trial, you'll conclude that Karen Reed is not guilty of hitting John O'Keefe with her SUV. There was no collision. She's the victim of a botched and biased and corrupted investigation that was never about the truth, folks. It was about preserving loyalty. You'll find that this case is the very definition of reasonable doubt. And at the end of this trial, we'll ask you to return the only verdicts, all 3 of them, that are consistent with the evidence, the science, the truth, and justice Not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Folks, why don't we take our morning recess?
Okay. Yep. So that was the opening statement, and that was pretty slow. Well, I don't know. I'm not complaining, but that was pretty. That was pretty good. My son graduated. He's going to kindergarten. Congratulations. He was just a baby. Girl, they grow up fast. They grow up really, really fast. They grow up really, really fast. But yeah, I was got so I found out that when both of my oh, my mic's still on. Hold on. Like if I mute this mic and I still have my voice writing mic on, it'll still record because again, like it's a mic. So yeah. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Girl, I done slowed down on big backing it. I done relaxed a little bit. I done after shoot, I don't know, it just keeps coming because when we go to LA, we're gonna be like in the LA area and there's so many places to eat out there. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Shoot, right next to Knott's there's a Fat Burger. So that's gonna be crazy. I love me some Fat Burger too. So I gotta slow it down. That's funny. My husband just grilled some chicken and some hot links yesterday. So uh, I'm trying not to do too much. But yeah, they're gonna have alcohol. They're gonna have like an open bar. I'm excited about it. I'm trying to get more into like the festivities versus the test. Again, during the week, Monday through Thursday, I'm in school. And on Fridays, I'm trying to practice, but I just enrolled in another steno roundup dictation little thing that they have for us. Um, a nice lady named, well, I won't say her name, but she started it and she allowed a lot of people who are trying to either take tests to improve their skills and get another certification or people who are trying to get their certifications. She has them all gathered together and she plays a few things from whatever dictation files that she has, or maybe even EV360, which is really, really fast. And we'll dictate together to try to motivate each other to pass. So that's something fun that I've been enjoying. Um, you got to keep dictating and stuff because there are going to be certain words and things pop up that you'll never even think of that'll tie you up and tongue twist you. And it's good to have a voice code for. So, girl, I'm trying. I do not like boudin, girl. I can't stand boudin. Like when I was pregnant with Dorian years ago, oh my God, it just threw me off. There's like certain things and certain smells that I cannot tolerate now because of the kids. Girl, I can't wait to get my certs. And like I said, after I get my CVR, I still have to go for my CSR. So I'm trying to see if I could either get an internship through the courts or if I can um, probably work on another in another state until I get my CSR because you can't work in the state of California unless they give you like a year if you work with certain courts under internship. So I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna play it by ear and see what happens. If not, I'll be working out of Vegas, okay? Do some couple of Zoom meetings wherever they're offered. I have to look at the list and then do that. And then while studying for the CSR, but once I get my CVR, the only thing I really have to pass with the CSR is basically California codes. which, I mean, I've been in California like majority of my life, so studying all the codes and stuff and getting a test. I won't say it shouldn't be too hard because if it was easy, it would already got done. So Cheryl, you did some bracelets on your TikTok. I gotta they had little charms on it and stuff. It was so cute. Nephew wanted a pink one, but I wanted to see if you can make like a Hello Kitty charm and a Stitch charm, and I'll buy that from you because those were so cute. I like the how you had the little cute sneakers and stuff, the little charms on there. I like that. It was cute. T, have you been seeing what they said about Red Lobster? I was so close. Me and my husband, we ended up going to Chili's, which was like, whatever. I'm kind of over Chili's. I think we overdid Chili's for the year. But we went to Chili's when we went back to check on Bunny, and we were gonna go to Red Lobster, but we couldn't go because Donovan is allergic to seafood. So we try not to go to places like with seafood, even though they have burgers and stuff. But I'm so glad we didn't go because we were gonna go. I ain't been seeing nothing but bad reviews. I ain't been seeing nothing but bad reviews, child. It's been terrible. There was like a purple one and then there was a pink one, I think. I gotta go back and look. But I know it's definitely a pink one because the girls was fighting over the pink one. But if you can make like a Hello Kitty pink one and then like a Stitch blue one, I will definitely cop that from you, girl, because my girls, they're very bratty. You know, hopefully, girl, no, no, let me tell you, on TikTok, they was talking about that Red Lobster so bad. Girl, Red Lobster was in the comments. Oh my God, I almost died when I seen Red Lobster in the comments. I laughed so hard. He was like, inbox me. I was like, not Red Lobster checking people for talking about their food. And I'm not gonna say they checking people. They probably just like, trying to make it right because they want the food to be good. They don't want to lose sales. Oh my gosh. But the fact that I see Red Lobster in the comments, I was laughing because Chili's inboxed me was like, hope your food was good. I was like, oh snap. Like these brands, they are going to make sure that they do right. That's the one I'm talking about. It was a Dunks bracelet. That shit was cute. How do you make thumbnails? I use Canva. So there's an app on my phone that I use called Canva, and then they have like a thing where you use it says YouTube thumbnails, and I go from there, and then I upload like whatever pictures and things that I want in that through Canva. They have one where they charge you $9.99 a month, and then they have a free option too. So yeah, but I'm about to get up off here, y'all. I appreciate y'all joining me. I might go on my squad live because I do want to talk about this thing I seen on TikTok, but we'll see how I'm feeling in a little bit. We'll see how I'm feeling. But yeah, let me get up off here. And I'm gonna try to practice next week on live and stuff. We'll probably do like another case. Too bad Puff Daddy trial wasn't we weren't able to see that. That would have been lit, but it's all good. Well, enjoy your fun, girl. Get your party on. It's the weekend. I gotta get prepared for next week. We gotta start packing. It's just so much stuff. We still got outfits coming because they have the Gatsby night, then they have the Hollywood theme. So I did get a cocktail dress. And I think I got my hubby like two other outfits and stuff. And yeah, so yeah, 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 yeah. So I will talk to y'all later.